One night, one drink, one kiss. She was never meant to remember. The champagne flute slipped from Maya's trembling fingers, shattering against the marble floor of the downtown Chicago penthouse. The sound cut through the din of the charity gala like a gunshot, and suddenly every perfectly manicured head turned toward her. Heat flooded her cheeks as she dropped to her knees, frantically gathering the crystal shards with her bare hands. "Leave it," a deep voice commanded softly above her. "You'll cut yourself." Maya looked up to find herself staring into the darkest brown eyes she'd ever seen. The man crouched beside her, his expensive tuxedo straining across broad shoulders, as he gently took her wrists in his hands. "The catering staff will handle this." "I am the catering staff," Maya whispered, mortified. She'd been working these high-end events for 3 years to support her daughter Emma, and she'd never made such a spectacle of herself. The man's eyebrows rose slightly, but his grip on her wrists remained steady. "Then let me help." Before she could protest, he was carefully picking up the larger pieces of glass, his movements surprisingly graceful for someone so tall. "I'm Daniel, by the way, Daniel Harrison." Maya's stomach dropped. Even someone like her, a single mum from Pilsen working 2 jobs, knew that name. Harrison Industries, billionaire, the man whose penthouse she was currently bleeding on. "Mr. Harrison," she stammered, trying to pull away. "I'm so sorry. You should let me get you a bandage," he interrupted, noticing the thin line of blood on her palm. "And you should tell me your name." "Maya. Maya Rodriguez." The words tumbled out before she could stop them. "Maya Rodriguez," he repeated, as if testing how it sounded. "Beautiful name for a beautiful woman who's currently bleeding on my floor." Despite her mortification, Maya felt her lips twitch. "Your priorities seem a little mixed up, Mr. Harrison." "Daniel," he corrected, helping her to her feet, "and my priorities are exactly where they should be. Come on." He led her through the crowd of Chicago's elite, politicians, CEOs, socialites who probably spent more on their shoes than Maya made in a month. She caught snippets of their conversations. Stock portfolios, vacation homes in the Hamptons, charity tax write-offs. This wasn't her world, and everyone knew it. "Daniel, darling." A blonde woman in a dress that probably cost more than Maya's rent materialized beside them. Victoria Pembroke, if Maya remembered correctly from the society pages. Old money Chicago family. "Who's your little friend?" The dismissive tone made Maya's spine stiffen, but Daniel's hand found the small of her back. "Victoria, this is Maya Rodriguez. Maya, Victoria Pembroke." Victoria's smile was arctic. "How quaint. Are you one of the new servers? I should speak to the catering manager about proper training." "Actually," Daniel said smoothly, "Maya was just telling me about her work with underprivileged children in Pilsen. Fascinating stuff." Maya blinked. She hadn't mentioned anything about her volunteer work at Emma's school, but she played along. It's important work." "I'm sure it is," Victoria said, her tone suggesting she found it anything but important. "Daniel, the Worthingtons are asking for you. Something about the hospital wing donation. Tell them I'll be along shortly." Daniel's voice had gone cooler. Victoria's perfectly sculpted eyebrows rose. "Surely your charity chat can wait." The emphasis on charity made Maya's cheeks burn again, but this time with anger rather than embarrassment. She started to step away, but Daniel's hand pressed more firmly against her back. "My conversation with Maya is exactly where I want to be right now," he said quietly. "But thank you for your concern, Victoria." The dismissal was polite, but unmistakable. Victoria's smile faltered, and she glided away with wounded dignity. "I should go," Maya said immediately. "I need to get back to work, and you clearly have important people to schmooze." "The most important person I've met tonight is standing right here," Daniel said, "and you're bleeding." He was right. The cut on her palm had reopened, leaving small drops of blood on her black uniform dress. "It's fine, really. Humor me." He guided her toward what appeared to be a private office off the main entertaining space. The noise of the party faded as he closed the door behind them. The office was surprisingly warm compared to the sterile elegance of the penthouse. Books lined the walls, actual books, not just expensive leather-bound decorations. A framed photo on the desk showed a younger Daniel with his arms around an older couple, all three of them laughing at something off camera. "Your parents?" Maya asked, nodding toward the photo as Daniel retrieved a first aid kit from a cabinet. "Were," he corrected softly, "car accident 3 years ago. I'm sorry." The words were inadequate, but genuine. Maya knew something about loss. Emma's father had walked out when she was 6 months old, leaving Maya to navigate single motherhood alone. "Thank you." Daniel opened the first aid kit with practiced efficiency. "Give me your hand." Maya hesitated, then extended her palm. Daniel's touch was gentle as he cleaned the cut, his fingers warm against her skin. "You do this often?" she asked, trying to ignore the way her pulse jumped at his touch. "Patch up wounded catering staff?" "Not usually, no." His lips quirked upward. "Though I did want to be a doctor once." "What happened?" "Life expectations, a multi-billion-dollar company that needed running." He applied a small bandage with careful precision. "Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I'd followed my own path instead of the one laid out for me." There was something wistful in his voice that made Maya's chest tighten. "It's not too late, you know." "To change course." Daniel looked up at her then, really looked as if seeing her for the first time. "You think so?" "I think we always have choices. They might not be easy ones, but they're there." Maya was thinking of her own choices, dropping out of nursing school when she got pregnant, taking whatever jobs she could find to keep Emma fed and clothed. Sometimes the hardest thing is figuring out what we actually want versus what everyone else expects from us. "And what do you want, Maya Rodriguez?" The question caught her off guard. When was the last time someone had asked her that? Not what Emma needed, not what would pay the bills, but what she actually wanted for herself. "I want to finish nursing school," she said before she could second-guess herself. "I want to make a difference in people's lives. I want my daughter to grow up knowing that her dreams matter, even if they're not conventional." "Tell me about your daughter." Maya's face lit up. "Emma. She's 8 and she's brilliant. Wants to be a marine biologist even though she's never seen the ocean. She reads everything she can get her hands on about sea life." Maya pulled out her phone, showing him a photo of a grinning little girl with dark curls and Maya's warm brown eyes. "She's the reason I do everything I do." Daniel studied the photo with surprising intensity. "She's beautiful, like her mother." The compliment should have felt like a line, but something in his voice made it sound sincere. Maya felt heat creep up her neck. "I should really get back out there. My supervisor will notice if I'm gone too long." "What if I told your supervisor you were helping me with something important?" "Are you offering to lie for me, Mr. Harrison?" "Daniel, and I never lie." He leaned against the desk, crossing his arms. "But I could use help with something important." Maya raised an eyebrow. "Such as?" "I'm hosting a fundraiser next week for children's literacy programs in underserved communities. I could use someone who actually understands those communities to help me make sure we're doing something meaningful, rather than just throwing money at a problem." "You're serious?" "Dead serious. The pay would be good. Consultant rates, not catering wages. And it would be a chance to make a real difference." Maya stared at him. This felt surreal, like something that happened to other people. "Why me?" "Because 30 minutes ago, you were on your hands and knees cleaning up broken glass without a thought for your own safety. Because you light up when you talk about your daughter and your dreams. Because you're not trying to impress me or use me for connections." Daniel's voice grew softer. "Because you're real, Maya. In a room full of people playing parts, you're the only one who's actually herself." The sincerity in his voice made her chest tighten. "I don't know anything about your world." "Good. Maybe you can help me remember mine." A knock at the door interrupted them. "Mr. Harrison?" A woman's voice, professional but urgent. "The Worthingtons are becoming insistent." Daniel sighed. "Duty calls." He reached into his jacket and pulled out a business card, writing something on the back. "Think about it. My personal number's on there. Call me either way, but I hope you'll say yes." Maya took the card, her fingers brushing his. "I'll think about it." He smiled, a real smile, not the polished version she'd seen him wear with the other guests. "That's all I can ask." Back in the main room, Maya tried to focus on refilling champagne glasses and clearing appetizer plates, but her mind kept wandering to Daniel's offer. It seemed too good to be true, which, in her experience, usually meant it was. "There you are." Jennifer, her supervisor, appeared at her elbow. "Where were you?" "Mrs. Pembroke complained that she couldn't find anyone to refresh her drink. I had an accident, cut my hand." Maya showed her the bandage. Jennifer's expression softened slightly. "Are you all right?" "Fine. It was minor." "Good. Try to stay more visible for the rest of the evening. These people expect service." Maya nodded, swallowing her irritation. She'd been working for Jennifer's catering company for 3 years, and the woman still treated her like she might bolt at any moment. The rest of the evening passed in a blur of champagne flutes and small talk that wasn't meant for her ears. Maya found herself stealing glances at Daniel across the room. He moved through the crowd with practiced ease, but she caught moments when his smile seemed forced, when his eyes would search the room as if looking for something, or someone. Their eyes met once across the crowded space, and he raised his champagne glass slightly in her direction. The gesture was so subtle that no one else would have noticed, but it made Maya's heart skip. "Maya?" Emma's voice was sleep-heavy when Maya called to check in during a quiet moment. "Hi, baby. How was your evening with Mrs. Garcia?" "Good. She made empanadas and let me help. Are you still at the fancy party?" "Yeah, I'll be home soon. Go back to sleep, okay?" "Mom, will you tell me about the fancy people tomorrow? Like what they wore and stuff?" Maya smiled. Emma was fascinated by wealth in the way only a child could be, not with envy, but with genuine curiosity about a world so different from their own. "I'll tell you all about it. Sweet dreams, Mika. Love you, Mom. Love you too." As Maya hung up, she realized Daniel was standing nearby, having overheard at least part of the conversation. "Checking in?" he asked quietly. "She likes to hear about these events. Lives vicariously through my stories about the fancy people." Maya slipped her phone back into her pocket. "She'd probably be fascinated to know I met the Daniel Harrison tonight. Would she be impressed?" Maya considered this. "She'd probably ask if you have a yacht and if you've ever met any marine biologists." Daniel laughed, a genuine sound that drew looks from nearby guests. "No yacht, but I did endow a marine research program at Northwestern last year. If she's serious about marine biology, there are some excellent programs she could look into when she's older." Mr. Harrison. Victoria Pembroke had appeared again, this time with reinforcements. A tall man in an expensive suit who looked like he belonged on a country club golf course. "Have you met Richard Worthington?" "Richard, this is Daniel Harrison." "Of course. Harrison Industries. Pleasure to meet you." Richard pumped Daniel's hand enthusiastically. "I was just telling Victoria here about our new yacht club. Very exclusive. You should consider joining." "I'll keep that in mind," Daniel said politely. "And this is—" Richard's gaze settled on Maya with barely concealed disdain. "Maya Rodriguez," Daniel said firmly. "She's consulting on my literacy fundraiser." Victoria's eyebrows shot up. "Consulting? How progressive of you, Daniel." The condescension in her voice was unmistakable. Maya felt her temper rise, but before she could respond, Daniel stepped closer to her. "Maya brings a perspective that's invaluable," he said coolly. "She actually works with the communities we're trying to help, rather than just writing checks from a distance." "How admirable," Richard said, though his tone suggested he found it anything but. "Though surely you have professional consultants for this sort of thing." "I prefer authentic expertise to expensive credentials," Daniel replied. "Maya, would you excuse us for a moment? I need to have a word with Richard about his foundation's accounting practices." Richard's face went pale. "My accounting practices? We'll talk privately." Daniel's smile was sharp enough to cut glass. "Victoria, always a pleasure." As the three of them moved away, Maya caught fragments of their conversation, something about irregularities and investigations. Richard's voice grew increasingly strained, while Victoria's became shrilly defensive. Maya busied herself clearing nearby tables, but she couldn't shake the feeling that Daniel had just defended her honor in a way no one ever had before. The party began winding down around midnight. Maya was in the kitchen helping pack up leftover appetizers when Daniel appeared in the doorway. "How much longer do you have here?" he asked. "Another hour or so. Why?" I was hoping to give you a ride home. I'd like to continue our conversation from earlier. Maya glanced around the kitchen, where several other catering staff were busy cleaning up. Jennifer was nowhere to be seen. I don't think that's a good idea. Because I'm a client. Because you're you and I'm me. Maya gestured between them. This whole evening has been like something out of a movie, but movies aren't real life. Daniel stepped fully into the kitchen, ignoring the curious looks from the other staff. What if I told you I haven't felt this connected to another person in years? I'd say you need to get out more. He laughed. Probably true. But Maya, I meant what I said earlier. About the consulting work, yes, but also about wanting to get to know you better. Why? The question came out sharper than she'd intended. I'm not sophisticated or well-connected. I can't help your career or your social standing. I'm a single mom who works 2 jobs and lives in a 1-bedroom apartment in Pilsen. What could you possibly want with someone like me? Daniel was quiet for a long moment. You want the honest answer? Always. Because when I'm with you, I remember who I wanted to be before I became who everyone else needed me to be. His voice dropped. Because you don't want anything from me except honesty. Because you make me feel like Daniel instead of Mr. Harrison. For the first time in years. Maya's throat tightened. Daniel, have dinner with me tomorrow. Somewhere casual, not some 5-star place. Just 2 people getting to know each other. She wanted to say yes. God, how she wanted to say yes. But years of disappointment had taught her to be cautious. I need to think about it. Fair enough. He pulled out his phone. What's your number? I'll text you so you have mine. Maya hesitated, then recited her number. Her phone buzzed a moment later. That's me, Daniel said. Think about dinner, and think about the consulting work. Both offers stand, completely independent of each other. Mr. Harrison, Jennifer appeared in the kitchen doorway. Is everything all right? Everything's fine, Daniel said smoothly. I was just thanking Maya for her exceptional service tonight. You have a real asset in her. Jennifer's expression shifted to surprise. Oh, well, thank you, sir. I'll let you get back to work, Daniel said to Maya. But I meant what I said, about everything. After he left, Jennifer approached Maya with curiosity written all over her face. What was that about? He was just being polite, Maya said, but she could feel Daniel's business card burning a hole in her pocket. The ride home on the Blue Line gave Maya time to think. The L car was nearly empty at this hour. Just a few late-shift workers like herself heading back to neighborhoods that didn't make the society pages. Maya stared at her reflection in the dark window and tried to process everything that had happened. Daniel Harrison wanted to have dinner with her. Daniel Harrison wanted to hire her as a consultant. Daniel Harrison had looked at her like she was the most interesting person in a room full of Chicago's elite. It felt impossible. Men like him didn't date women like her outside of romantic comedies. But there had been something in his eyes when he talked about remembering who he wanted to be, something raw and real that couldn't be faked. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Thank you for an unforgettable evening. I hope you'll consider both of my offers. Daniel. Maya stared at the message for a long time before responding. Thank you for the most surreal night of my life. I'll call you tomorrow. His response came immediately. Looking forward to it. Maya smiled despite herself. Maybe, just maybe, this could be the beginning of something real. But first, she had to figure out if she was brave enough to find out. The next morning brought Emma bouncing into Maya's bed at 7 a.m. sharp, her dark curls wild with sleep. Mom, tell me about the party. Were there famous people? Did you see any movie stars? Maya groaned and pulled a pillow over her head. Coffee first, Mija, then stories. But Mom, Emma Rodriguez, do not make me count to 3 before I've had caffeine. Emma giggled and scrambled off the bed. I'll make you coffee. Mrs. Garcia taught me how to use the machine. Do not touch the coffee machine without me, Maya called after her, but she was smiling. Emma's enthusiasm was infectious, even when Maya felt like she'd been hit by a truck. 20 minutes later, they sat at their tiny kitchen table sharing toast and scrambled eggs, while Maya recounted carefully edited highlights from the previous evening. So, this billionaire guy really talked to you? Emma asked, eyes wide. He did. His name is Daniel Harrison. He owns a big company here in Chicago. Did he have bodyguards? No bodyguards. A fancy car? I don't know. I didn't see him leave. Emma considered this. Was he nice? Such a simple question from her 8-year-old daughter, but it cut to the heart of everything Maya was trying to figure out. Yeah, baby. He was nice. Good. I don't like it when people aren't nice to you. Maya's heart squeezed. Emma had witnessed too many interactions where people looked down on Maya because of her job, her neighborhood, her single-parent status. Her daughter's protective instincts were both heartwarming and heartbreaking. Speaking of which, Maya said, I might have a new job opportunity, something that would pay better and have normal hours. Really? Emma's face lit up. Does that mean you could come to my school play? Maya's chest tightened. She'd missed Emma's last 2 school events because of work conflicts. Maybe, Mika. We'll see. After dropping Emma off at school, Maya found herself staring at Daniel's business card while riding the L to her day job at the medical clinic where she worked as a receptionist. Dr. Martinez had been trying to convince her to go back to school for years, so even offering to help with scheduling around her classes. You have good instincts with patients, he'd told her just last week. You could be an excellent nurse if you decided to finish your degree. But nursing school meant student loans, less income in the short term, and the risk that she might not be able to handle the workload while raising Emma alone. It was a dream deferred, perhaps indefinitely, unless Daniel's consulting offer was real. At lunch, Maya finally worked up the courage to call the number on his card. Daniel Harrison. His voice sent an unexpected flutter through her stomach. Hi, it's Maya Rodriguez. Maya. The warmth in his voice was immediate. I was hoping you'd call. How are you today? Confused, honestly. Last night still feels like a dream. Good confused or bad confused? Jury's still out. Maya took a deep breath. I wanted to talk to you about your offer. The consulting work. Of course. Are you free this afternoon? I could send a car. I can take the L, Maya interrupted. I don't need a car. Fair enough, my office is in the Willis Tower, 68th floor. Would 3 o'clock work? Maya checked her watch. She could leave the clinic early if Dr. Martinez didn't mind. I'll be there. Maya, thank you for giving this a chance. The Willis Tower, what everyone in Chicago still called the Sears Tower, loomed over the city like a glass and steel monument to ambition. Maya had lived in Chicago her entire life, but had never been above the tourist observation deck. Standing in the marble lobby, craning her neck toward the impossibly high ceiling, she felt small and out of place. The elevator ride to the 68th floor made her ears pop. When the doors opened, she stepped into a reception area that screamed expensive taste, all clean lines, modern art, and floor-to-ceiling windows offering stunning views of Lake Michigan. You must be Maya Rodriguez, the receptionist said with a warm smile. Mr. Harrison is waiting for you. Daniel's office was corner real estate with views in 2 directions. Maya tried not to gawk as he rose from behind a desk that probably cost more than her monthly rent. You found it okay? He asked, moving around the desk to greet her. Hard to miss the second tallest building in the city, Maya said dryly. He laughed. Good point. Coffee? Water? I'm fine. Maya remained standing, too nervous to settle into one of the leather chairs facing his desk. So, this consulting thing, what exactly are you looking for? Daniel gestured toward the sitting area near the windows. Please, sit. Let me explain. Maya perched on the edge of a chair, hyper-aware of how her target dress looked against the expensive leather. Daniel took the chair across from her, close enough that she could smell his cologne, something subtle and expensive. Harrison Industries has been profitable for decades, he began, but we've never been particularly meaningful. My father built this company on smart investments and good timing, but it doesn't actually create anything or help anyone. Most companies exist to make money, Maya pointed out. True, but I want to do more than just make money. The literacy fundraiser I mentioned, it's part of a larger initiative I'm developing. I want to create programs that actually make a difference in underserved communities, not just feel-good publicity stunts. Maya leaned back slightly. And you think I can help with that? I think you understand those communities in a way I never could. You've lived it, raised a child in it, worked multiple jobs to make ends meet. You know what actually helps versus what looks good on paper. So you want to hire me for my poverty credentials? Daniel's expression grew serious. I want to hire you for your intelligence, your authenticity, and your perspective. The fact that you've faced challenges I haven't gives you insights I need, but it's not the only reason. Maya studied his face, looking for signs of condescension or pity. She found neither. What would the job actually involve? Research, community outreach, program development, making sure our money goes where it can do the most good rather than where it makes us look best. Daniel leaned forward. The salary would be $80 a year to start, with full benefits. Maya's breath caught. That was more than double what she made from both her jobs combined. That's a lot of money. It's fair compensation for important work. Daniel. Maya used his first name deliberately, testing how it felt. Why me? Really? You could hire actual consultants, people with degrees and experience in non-profit management. Because I don't want someone who learned about poverty in graduate school. I want someone who's lived it and overcome it. His voice grew softer. Because when you talked about your daughter last night, about wanting to finish nursing school, I saw someone who understands what it means to dream bigger while still taking care of business. Maya was quiet for a long moment, processing. The offer was generous, maybe too generous. What's the catch? No catch. Well, one condition. Which is, have dinner with me tonight, not business. Personal. Just two people getting to know each other outside of all this. He gestured around the expensive office. Maya felt heat creep up her neck. Daniel. Separate from the job offer, he said quickly. You can take the consulting position whether you have dinner with me or not. But I'd like the chance to know you better, Maya. As Daniel, not Mr. Harrison. She looked out the floor-to-ceiling windows at the city spread below. Somewhere down there, Emma was in after-school care, probably reading about marine biology or helping younger kids with their homework. Maya had built a life for them through sheer determination, and two jobs that left her exhausted but proud. This job could change everything. Emma could have her own room. Maya could finish nursing school without drowning in debt. They could think about the future instead of just surviving the present. But it also meant entering Daniel's world, at least professionally. A world where people like Victoria Pembroke would always see her as an outsider playing dress-up. I need to think about it, Maya said finally. The job or dinner? Both. Daniel nodded. Take all the time you need, but Maya, for what it's worth, I haven't felt this hopeful about anything in a long time. You walking into my life, literally crashing into it, feels like the universe trying to tell me something. What's it trying to tell you? That maybe it's time to stop sleepwalking through my life and start actually living it. Maya's chest tightened at the raw honesty in his voice. I should go. Emma will be getting out of school soon. Of course. Daniel stood, moving to his desk. Let me give you some materials about the literacy initiative. Look them over. See what you think. He handed her a folder thick with research, budget projections, and program proposals. Maya flipped through the pages, surprised by the thoroughness and genuine focus on measurable outcomes rather than publicity. This is impressive work, she said. Thank you. Though I have to admit, most of it was put together by consultants who've never set foot in the communities we're trying to help. Maya looked up at him. You really think I could do this? I don't have a college degree, Daniel. I dropped out when I got pregnant. Some of the smartest people I know never finished college, and you're raising a brilliant daughter while working 2 jobs and volunteering at her school. That takes intelligence, organization, and dedication. Daniel's voice grew firm. Don't underestimate yourself, Maya. Everyone else will do that for you. The comment hit closer to home than he probably realized. Maya had spent years listening to people assume she wasn't smart enough, motivated enough, or valuable enough for better opportunities. I'll look through this, she said, holding up the folder, and I'll call you tomorrow with my answer. About the job or dinner? Maya smiled despite her nervousness. You're persistent, only when something matters. The ride home on the L gave Maya time to flip through Daniel's materials. The scope of the literacy initiative was impressive. After-school programs, parent education, teacher training. even college prep courses for high school students. The budget was substantial but realistic, with careful attention to overhead costs and measurable outcomes. This wasn't some rich guy's vanity project. It was a serious attempt to address real problems in underserved communities. Maya's phone buzzed with a text from Emma. "Mum, I got picked to read my story to the second graders tomorrow. Can you come?" Maya's heart sank. Tomorrow was Friday and she had back-to-back shifts at both jobs. "I'll try, baby." "What time?" 10 a.m. in the library. "Mrs. Johnson says it's about how kids can make a difference in their communities. I wrote it about you." Maya's eyes filled with unexpected tears. "About me? About how you work really hard to take care of people and how you're the best mom ever. I can't wait for you to hear it." Maya stared at the text for a long time. Emma had written a story about her, about making a difference in communities. Maybe that was a sign. When they got home, Emma immediately launched into a detailed account of her day while Maya started dinner. Their one-bedroom apartment was small but cozy, filled with Emma's artwork on the walls and books stacked on every available surface. It was home, but Maya couldn't help imagining what life might look like, with more financial security. "Mum, you seem different tonight," Emma observed over their dinner of spaghetti and marinara sauce. "Different how?" "I don't know, like excited but scared. Like when I have to give a presentation, but I also really want to do good." Maya smiled. Her daughter was too perceptive for her own good. "I might have a new job opportunity, baby. Something that could be really good for us. Would you still have time to help me with homework?" "More time, actually. It would be regular hours instead of nights and weekends." Emma's face lit up. "And you could come to my school stuff?" "Maybe. I hope so." "Then you should take it," Emma said matter-of-factly. "You always tell me that good opportunities don't come around very often." That night, after Emma was asleep, Maya sat at their tiny kitchen table with Daniel's folder spread out in front of her. The more she read, the more impressed she became. This wasn't charity work designed to make rich people feel better about themselves. It was a comprehensive approach to addressing educational inequality. Her phone rang. Daniel's name appeared on the screen. "Hi," she answered softly, not wanting to wake Emma. "Hi, I hope I'm not calling too late. I wanted to see how you were feeling about everything." Maya leaned back in her chair. "Honestly, overwhelmed. This is a lot to process." "I understand. It's a big decision. Daniel, can I ask you something?" "Of course." "What happens when this stops being fun for you? When the novelty of having someone from the real world on your team wears off?" Daniel was quiet for a moment. "Is that what you think this is? Novelty?" "I don't know what to think. Yesterday I was serving champagne at your party, and today you're offering me more money than I've ever made in my life. It doesn't feel real. Maya, I'm going to tell you something, and I need you to believe me." His voice grew serious. "I've been sleepwalking through my life for years, going through the motions, meeting expectations, but not actually living. Last night, talking with you was the first time in months that I felt genuinely engaged with another person. That's a lot of pressure to put on someone you barely know. You're right, and I'm not trying to put pressure on you. I'm trying to be honest about why this matters to me." Daniel paused. "But even if we never see each other again outside of a professional context, I believe you could do incredible work with this initiative. Your insights about community needs, your understanding of the challenges families face, that's exactly what this project needs." Maya looked around her small apartment, at the stack of bills on the counter and Emma's homework spread across the coffee table. "What if I'm not good at it? What if I take this job and fail? What if you take this job and change hundreds of kids' lives for the better? You don't know me well enough to have that kind of faith in me. Maybe not. But I know enough to want to find out what you're capable of when someone gives you a real chance." Maya's throat tightened. "I need to sleep on it." "Of course, but Maya, whatever you decide about the job, I'd still like to take you to dinner. Somewhere casual. Maybe that place in Pilsen you mentioned, where Emma likes the churros." Despite her anxiety, Maya smiled. "You were listening. I listen to everything you say. It's all interesting. After they hung up, Maya sat in her quiet kitchen for a long time. Through the thin walls, she could hear Mrs. Garcia's television and the distant sounds of traffic on 18th Street. This was her world, familiar, predictable, safe in its limitations. But maybe Emma deserved more. Maybe they both did. Maya pulled out her phone and typed a text. Yes to the job, and yes to dinner, but only if you let me pick the place. Daniel's response came within seconds. Best text I've gotten all year. Thank you for taking a chance. Maya stared at her phone, heart pounding. She'd just accepted a job that could change everything, from a man who made her feel things she'd forgotten she was capable of feeling. Tomorrow, she'd have to figure out how to tell Jennifer she was leaving the catering company. Next week, she'd start a new life as a consultant for Harrison Industries. And at some point very soon, she'd have dinner with Daniel Harrison and find out if the connection she felt was real or just the product of an extraordinary evening. But tonight, for the first time in years, Maya fell asleep excited about what tomorrow might bring. The next morning, Emma's story reading was scheduled for 10 a.m. Maya had already called in sick to the clinic, claiming a family emergency, not entirely untrue since she considered Emma's big moment a family priority. Jennifer hadn't been pleased about the last-minute call-out from the catering company, but Maya found she cared less about Jennifer's displeasure than she would have just 2 days ago. Maya arrived at Emma's school 15 minutes early, settling into one of the tiny plastic chairs in the library. She watched her daughter at the front of the room, practicing her reading with Mrs. Johnson, while a group of second graders sat cross-legged on the carpet. "Mom!" Emma spotted her and waved enthusiastically. "You came. I wouldn't miss it, baby." Emma's story was about a superhero mom who worked multiple jobs to help people and take care of her daughter. The superhero's special power was making everyone feel better, whether it was patients at a doctor's office or kids who needed help with their homework. Maya found herself blinking back tears as Emma read with confidence and pride. "My mom is the strongest person I know," Emma concluded, "because she never gives up even when things are hard. She always says that we can make things better if we work together and take care of each other." The second graders applauded, and Mrs. Johnson beamed. "That was wonderful, Emma. Your mom must be very proud." "She is," said a familiar voice from the library doorway. Maya turned to see Daniel Harrison, looking completely out of place in his expensive suit among the children's book displays and construction paper decorations. Several parents did double takes, clearly recognizing him from business news or society pages. "What are you doing here?" Maya whispered as he took the seat beside her. "You mentioned Emma was reading her story today. I hoped it would be okay if I came to listen. How did you even find the school? Google is a wonderful thing, and your daughter is remarkable." Daniel's attention was focused entirely on Emma, who was now answering questions from the second graders about her story. "Is your mom really a superhero?" one little boy asked. "She's not a comic book superhero," Emma explained patiently, "but she does help people every day, which makes her a real-life superhero." Maya's chest tightened with pride and love. When the reading was over, Emma bounded over to them, practically vibrating with excitement. "Mum, did you hear? Everyone loved my story, and Mrs. Johnson says I might get to read it at the school assembly next month." Emma's gaze shifted to Daniel, with curious interest. "Who's this?" "Emma, this is Daniel Harrison." "Daniel, my daughter Emma." Daniel extended his hand gravely, as if Emma were a fellow adult. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Emma. That was an excellent story." Emma shook his hand with equal seriousness. "Thank you. Are you the billionaire guy Mom told me about?" "Emma!" Maya's cheeks flamed, but Daniel just laughed. "I suppose I am. Though I prefer to think of myself as someone who's trying to help kids like you have better opportunities. Mum says you want to hire her to help kids learn to read better." "That's right. Your mum is very smart and has good ideas about how to help." Emma studied Daniel with the intense scrutiny only children could manage. "Are you nice to her?" "Emma Rodriguez," Maya said in her warning voice, but Daniel answered seriously. "I try to be. Your mum deserves to be treated with respect and kindness." Emma nodded approvingly. "Good. Some people aren't nice to her because of where we live or because she has jobs they think aren't important. but her jobs are important. Maya wanted to sink through the floor, but Daniel's expression grew thoughtful. You're absolutely right, Emma. All jobs that help people are important. Your mum takes care of people in lots of different ways. Exactly. Emma beamed at finding an ally. So if you hire her, you better be nice to her, or you'll have to deal with me. Daniel's lips twitched. Understood, I'll keep that in mind. As they walked out of the school together, Maya couldn't help but notice the looks they were getting from other parents and teachers. Daniel Harrison didn't exactly blend in at a public elementary school in Pilsen. You didn't have to come, Maya said as they reached the street. I wanted to. Emma's story was beautiful, and I can see where she gets her strength and intelligence. Maya glanced at her daughter, who was skipping ahead of them, still glowing from her successful reading. She's the best thing I've ever done. It shows. She's lucky to have you. They paused at the corner where Daniel's driver was waiting beside a sleek black car. Maya had been so focused on Emma's reading that she hadn't noticed the vehicle earlier. Can we give you a ride somewhere? Daniel asked. Maya looked at the expensive car, then at the bus stop where she and Emma would normally wait for the Nuxie one. We usually take the bus. I've never ridden a city bus, Daniel admitted. Mind if I join you? Maya stared at him. You want to take the CTA bus? In your $1,000 suit? Why not? Because you're Daniel Harrison, and you probably haven't used public transportation since you were Emma's age. All the more reason to start now. Daniel turned to his driver. Marcus, I'll call when I need pickup. The driver looked skeptical, but nodded. Yes, sir. Emma bounced back to them. Are we taking the bus? Can Daniel come? I want to show him the lake view from the Fullerton stop. And so Maya found herself sitting on a CTA bus with her 8-year-old daughter and one of Chicago's most prominent businessmen, watching Daniel navigate public transportation with the careful attention of an anthropologist studying a new culture. You hold on to this strap when the bus turns, Emma instructed helpfully as the vehicle lurched around a corner. Good to know, Daniel said, gripping the metal pole. This is much more interactive than I expected. Maya couldn't help but smile. Daniel looked ridiculously out of place among the mix of tourists, students, and working people who populated the midday bus routes, but he was making a genuine effort to fit in. Where are we going exactly? Daniel asked as Emma pressed her face to the window. The Lincoln Park Zoo, Emma announced. It's free and they have penguins. Since I want to be a marine biologist, I like to observe aquatic birds. Daniel raised an eyebrow at Maya. Is this a test? Everything with Emma is a test, Maya said dryly. She's 8 going on 30. The zoo was crowded with families and school groups, but Emma navigated the paths with the confidence of someone who'd been there dozens of times. She led them straight to the penguin exhibit, where she proceeded to share detailed facts about Antarctic wildlife. Did you know, Emma said, watching the penguins dive and swim, that emperor penguins can hold their breath for over 20 minutes, and they can dive deeper than most submarines? I did not know that, Daniel said, giving Emma his complete attention. How deep can they dive? Over 1,800 feet. That's deeper than the Willis Tower is tall. Daniel looked genuinely impressed. You know, Emma, I mentioned to your mum that I helped fund a marine research program at Northwestern University. If you're serious about studying marine biology, there are some excellent programs you could explore when you're older. Emma's eyes went wide. Really? With real scientists? With real scientists. They study everything from local lake ecosystems to deep ocean environments. Maya watched the exchange with a mixture of warmth and wariness. Daniel was being wonderful with Emma, but she couldn't shake the feeling that this was all too good to be true. Men like him didn't spend their Friday afternoons at free zoos with single mothers and their kids. There had to be a catch. As if sensing her thoughts, Daniel glanced over at her. You're thinking too hard about something. I'm thinking about a lot of things. Such as, Maya looked around at the families enjoying their zoo visit. Parents in jeans and sneakers, kids with ice cream-stained shirts, the comfortable chaos of normal people living normal lives. Such is what happens when the novelty of this wears off. Mom, Emma interrupted, can we go see the seals? They're feeding them in 10 minutes. Of course, baby. As they walked toward the seal exhibit, Daniel fell into step beside Maya. "You keep waiting for me to disappoint you. I keep waiting for reality to set in. What if this is reality? What if sometimes people from different worlds connect in ways that matter?" Maya was quiet for a moment. "In my experience, people like you eventually get bored with people like me. People like me. Rich, powerful. Used to getting whatever you want whenever you want it." Daniel stopped walking, causing a family with a stroller to navigate around them. "Maya, look at me." She turned to face him, suddenly aware of how close they were standing. "I'm not going to pretend I understand what your life has been like or what you've had to overcome to get where you are," Daniel said quietly. "But don't assume you understand mine either. Money and power don't protect you from loneliness or disappointment or the feeling that you're living someone else's life instead of your own." The raw honesty in his voice made Maya's chest tighten. "Daniel, I'm not asking you to trust me completely. I'm just asking you not to dismiss this, whatever this is, before we figure out what it might be." Before Maya could respond, Emma called out from the seal exhibit, "Mom, Daniel, they're starting the feeding. Come on." They spent the next hour wandering through the zoo, Emma chattering about animal habitats and conservation, while Daniel asked thoughtful questions, and Maya tried to process the surreal turn her life had taken. This time yesterday, she'd been planning to spend Friday afternoon catching up on laundry and helping Emma with homework. Now she was watching a billionaire learn about prairie dog social structures from her 8-year-old daughter. "I should get Emma home," Maya said as the afternoon began to fade. "She has homework and I have some thinking to do about Monday." "Monday? My first day as a consultant for Harrison Industries. That is, if the offer still stands after you've seen what my real life looks like." Daniel's expression grew serious. "Maya, today has been one of the best days I've had in years. Emma is remarkable, and watching you with her. It's clear where she gets her intelligence and strength." "You say that now, but—" "I say that because it's true." Daniel's voice was firm. "Stop waiting for me to disappoint you, and give us a chance to find out what this could be." Emma skipped over to them, tired but happy. "That was the best day ever. Daniel, will you come with us again sometime?" "I'd love to if your mom says it's okay." Emma looked expectantly at Maya. "Mom, can Daniel be our friend?" Maya looked at her daughter's hopeful face, then at Daniel's equally hopeful expression. "I guess we'll see, baby." It wasn't a yes, but it wasn't a no either. And for now, that was enough. As they waited for the bus back to Pilsen, Emma yawned against Maya's side. The excitement of the day was catching up with her. "Tired, Mija?" Maya asked, stroking her daughter's curls. "A little. But it was a good day." Emma looked up at Daniel. "Thank you for coming to hear my story and for teaching me about the penguin research." "Thank you for including me," Daniel said seriously. "I learned a lot today." "What did you learn?" Emma asked curiously. Daniel glanced at Maya before answering. "I learned that the best things in life aren't things you can buy. They're moments like this, with people who matter." Emma nodded sagely. "Mom always says the best things are free, like the zoo and the library and hugs. Your mom is very wise." As their bus approached, Maya felt a flutter of nervousness about Monday, about stepping into Daniel's professional world, about all the ways this could go wrong. But she also felt something she hadn't experienced in years, excitement about the future. Maybe Emma was right. Maybe sometimes the best opportunities came disguised as impossible dreams. And maybe, just maybe, it was time for Maya to stop playing it safe and start believing that she deserved something extraordinary. Monday morning would bring new challenges, new possibilities, and the chance to find out if the connection she felt with Daniel could survive in the real world of boardrooms and business meetings. But for now, riding the bus home with Emma falling asleep against her shoulder, and Daniel Harrison looking at her like she was the most fascinating woman he'd ever met, Maya allowed herself to believe that sometimes fairy tales could happen to regular people. Even single mothers from Pilsen who served champagne at charity galas and dreamed of finishing nursing school. The story was just beginning.